Hey guys, February the 18th here in central Illinois. I've had 6 inches of snow, but today it's above 30 and it's starting to melt. So I'll be outside before you know it. That's where I'd like to be right now. But I thought I'd give you an update of what I'm doing. Right now, the hill climber is suffering from the Viagra effect, and I'm in the process of making a tie down. This is all spring loaded. And I sure don't want that to do that as we're going around the layout. So this is not what I'm going to use, but this is a tie down off of a McCoy trolley. So I'm going to put something like that somewhere in here so that the spring tension will allow it to come up so high, but I don't want it so high that it catches the underneath of the elevated. I turned down a bunch of pulley wheels for this thing. Started out with a 1/2-inch round brass bar stock and cut these down on the lathe, drilled them out, thread them. Now you can do one of two things. You can thread them and do like I've done on this one, which is what I might do, but what I'm in the process of doing is getting some threaded bar stock. So I'll thread it in, and then I'll put a nut on instead of the pan head, I'll put a regular nut on it. I just like that better. The arm is going to be black. Of course, that will be brass, and I think I'll put a brass nut on it. So we're coming along pretty good on that. Like I say, I got to find out a place to put this tie down somewhere in here. I'm still looking to put a light on the front. Haven't got to that yet. And I'll show you some other stuff that I'm working on. I think I told you that I was trying to convert a post-war Lionel 69 inspection car to standard gauge. Well, this is what I've got so far. And that engineer can oil that thing up until hell freezes over, and he'll never get rid of all the rust. But what I've got is a Kingsbury single truck trolley, one of those friction floor deals that you see out there on eBay. And I went ahead, and now this is just sitting on there. It would have to be brought down lower for those wheels, but I'll move the engineer. But what I like about this 69 is I got to adjust it just a little bit. In other words, move the body forwards or back. But the journal caps are almost virtually over dead center of the wheels. So that's kind of nice. I'd have to cut some of the seats out a little bit. And of course, I got to fabricate a floor for it to sit on. But believe it or not, I did not get a body with this thing. I think I could put the body on it because all I've done is extended the axles. And I'll show you what I've done. Let's just give it a run here first. I got an E unit in it. Now, the only thing I don't like about it is it's got a hell of a gearing system. So when it's running wide open, it doesn't exactly run fast. But really, does it have to run fast? It's what I'm used to. You know, when you're busting through Lincoln logs and killing Indians back in the day, why... you know, you expected some speed. It runs fast enough, I guess. All right, I'll show you what I've done to the thing. This is what we've got. This is the 69. Now, the only thing that I've done different on this is this front truck has been turned around. It places it, if it were as it was originally issued, the axle would be about right here. So just by rotating that, I moved the stance out a little bit farther so that it would line up with these journals. And I initially wasn't going to extend the axles on the doggone thing. Well, I got to messing around, and the next thing you know, I knocked the gear off of the shaft. Well, that's actually not that big of a deal. Now, I'll show you what I got here. This is the original, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but there are little splines. There you go, right in the very center. Basically, you could do that at home by just taking a cold chisel and smacking it, and then you slide that gear onto it. Well, since I already got it knocked off, this is a standard gauge axle, same diameter as the factory axle, but what I did was, I got a knurling tool. And believe it or not, here we go, one-arm paper hanger again. That gear is basically the same width as what their chisel marks are. So, I took the axle, let's see if I can show you what I did. I took the bare axle, I set it in there like that. I measured it, I got it to where it was basically going to be center. I screwed it down. My cordless drill, I chucked it up and I turned it on and I did a lovely, lovely knurl on it. And it really, really worked well. Then all I did was this bottom section, the gearing section, that all comes off. That horseshoe clip is all that holds it on. I took that off. I put it in my vise, or not my vise, but my hobby horse press. And I pressed the axle into the gear. And then I set it up so it would be square. Now, what I would suggest, because I'm not good at this stuff, I would use an over length axle, because you want this to be center of that worm gear in there. And I would make it over length, get everything centered just the way I wanted it, then mark it, and then cut it off with a Dremel tool. That would be the best way of success. I wanted to use some axle collars, but that's too narrow in there, so I shimmed it out with real thin washers. They work really, really well, and that also allows me to adjust for my gauge here, and it works real good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a platform for the body to sit down on here. This is the front truck. Now this is the way I've got it mounted now. Originally, it was mounted this way because there's a peg that keeps that, it rides that plastic peg in there, which limits the swing. And if it's not riding on that peg, it's got too much. So what I'll do is I'll probably drill or put a bolt in there so that there's just a little bit of slop, not much, because it wants to steer itself. Sometimes it gets cattywampus. We don't want that. So at first I thought, you know what, I'm going to have to have swing so it goes around the curves. Well, no, I don't. It's got a little bit of swing, but I don't need it. The wheelbase on this is basically the same as what a Build-A-Motor or a Supermotor is, only maybe a quarter of an inch or half an inch longer. Well, that's a rigid frame, and they'll go around a 42-inch radius track with no problem. This should do exactly the same thing. Now, like I say, there is a little bit of slop on this, and this touches right here a little bit, so I'm going to put this in a grinder and just grind that back so that those flanges do not hit the side of this this frame. And I really think, guys, if I were to take and I found a body, because I haven't cut anything, all the mounting holes are still there. If I had a body, I think it would work as a standard gauge inspection car. These wheels are no bigger than those fake plastic wheels that they've got on the outside, so there should be plenty of clearance with the body. I may buy one and give it a try, and we'll see what happens. But that's where we're hanging on this stuff. I'm wanting to get the doggone hill climber done. Get it outside so I can paint it. Like I say, I've only got two things to do on it. Basically mount the lights and mount that tie down for the trolley pole. Everything else has been fabricated. So I need to shake a leg here and get some of this stuff done. You guys have a good weekend, and we'll talk with you later. Toodaloo.